Welcome, everyone. My name is John Boyd with Music Channel Television, and today we have a truly unique guest, Stephen Machat. Many know Stephen as a veteran music insider, an entertainment manager and producer who's navigated the complex world behind the scenes with legendary artists ranging from Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, Leonard Cohen and Snoop Dogg. Most recently, he's been producing and traveling with the world tour for the Buena Vista Orchestra. But Stephen is much more than just a music mogul. He's also a compelling author who has consistently challenged readers to look beyond the surface in his previous works like Gods, Gangsters, and Honor and Sacred Knowledge. Stephen hasn't shied away from delving into the profound questions about the nature of reality, consciousness, hidden histories, and the spiritual forces that shape our world, urging us to seek deeper truths. Now he joins us to discuss his latest book, IcanHearMusic, which promises to offer another fascinating perspective, likely weaving together his deep experiences in the world of music with the insightful and often spiritual explorations that have become his signature. Stephen, you have decades of experience exploring global cultures through music and art. What occupies your time when you aren't writing or sharing these insights?
All thought begins. It's universal, and universal thoughts, when we divide, and thoughts do divide, become new thoughts. We become galaxies, we become solar systems, we become stars that create those solar systems, we create the planets, we create everything. We are all one thought, divided into many different questions, where we try to give each other the answers as to what if this and what if that.
What does success look like for you as a writer exploring these profound themes?
Well, success isn't about sales figures, though reaching people is important. True success, is really sparking a flicker of recognition in a reader or a listener or an observer, helping someone question the narratives they've been fed so they see the patterns of division and feel the possibility of unity. My books encourage even one person to seek deeper understanding and connect beyond societal constructs. Then I guess I've succeeded. It's about contributing to that awakening. You are more than your body. Your body is your ride inside this planet, inside this solar system that we call Earth.
Let's talk about your book, IcanHearMusic. For those who haven't read it, could you give us a brief overview?
My new book, IcanHearMusic, it draws on basically my whole life. Right now is almost 72 and a half years. It is my journey through global cultures, primarily via music, dance, also films, and also just travel, talking to everybody I meet. I love dance, I love art, I love all the cultures of art. And this book delves into my biggest life's questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What happens after? What is the difference between you and I? And again, why are we here being question 4? And question 5, where do we go from here? Do I go one place? Do you go to another place? I could keep dividing these questions, but those are the 5 themes. Again, who am I? Who are you? What is the difference between you and me? And after I figure that out, why are we here? And where do we go from here? And believe me, we go until we stop having thoughts.
What inspired you to tackle such fundamental questions about existence and unity through the lens of music and metaphysics?
I used music, and I traced its metaphysical roots and the unseen energies. I call them the Muses, or they. They influence narratives across cultures. They create cultures, they divide cultures, and they are the little noise that we hear in our heads, or the little images of fairies, the French fairy, the enchanted ones that get us to see different things and makes us explore the imaginations of our mind as we live and we travel in the imagination of our mind, fighting the diplomacy that requires us to become one of them, the diplomacy that makes men wear clothing this way, makes women wear clothing that way, makes us all sit here and conform and do what everyone's done because you need to do that or people don't trust you. I don't trust anyone that puts a suit and jacket tie on. I don't. Why are they wearing something that chokes them and makes them not be able to feel? No one's ever asked where that tie came from. And I'll give you the answer. It came during the Napoleonic War when the Croatians were fighting Napoleon and they had a red neck tie around their necks. So Napoleon didn't know who to kill and not to kill. So he created the tie for his soldiers. True story.
You talk about these unseen energies, muses, or the they, influencing cultures. Was it challenging to articulate these more abstract metaphysical concepts?
I look at things and I want to know, why is it this? Why is it that? Why is the sun only out for 10 hours? Why is it out now for 13 hours during spring and summer? Why is it out for 5 seconds when I lived in Iceland and I was making a clothing company called Death, where I understood that if you're afraid to die, then you are unable to live. These are the things I've lived and explored, and I've done it constantly my whole life. I want to know, why am I here? And I want to know why people are scared of living and they're afraid to die. You never die, my friends. Anyone listening to this, you never die. And through music, when you hear sound, I could open up the hardening of your arteries of being more than you are. Because the minute you become dense, the minute you become fearful of death, you lose the ability to live. What you do is you repeat. You're like a dog. You step and fetch it. And you become part of a system that when you were young, you swore you would never become part of. And you become everything your parents were. And then when you get older and you wake up, you either become the grandparent that every kid wants to hang out with or every grandparent that the children want to run away from. It's easy. And simultaneously, I saw societies become fractured in fear and manipulation. I studied history. It's the same game. They created us and they created them. And then you're either an us or a them. And if you're a them, you turn to the left. If you're a us, you turn to the right. And you step and fetch and you do what they tell you to do without questioning what they're doing. And I'm telling you, question anything and everything. Your betterment is both you, the individual, and you, the member of society and community you belong to. Both have to be equally applied. This is what I believe in. And I've learned all this through making music all over the world and studying history. It's the same thing. You know, it's like that Moody Blues song, you know, where you're traveling around and you find someone that you may have been with before as you go around the bend, and all you do is you say, come along with me, and let's go see empires that once stood there that have now turned into sand.
What was the biggest challenge you faced while writing I Can Hear Music, and how did you navigate it?
You know, it's a challenge that when I didn't die and I came back because of the love of Debbie, what she gave me, and without her, I don't know if I'd be here. But I wasn't leaving her and leaving without finishing this mission. I've had a unique life. I'm a very fortunate person, and every time I got off my path, something kicked me back to it. And when I met the Cubans and I watched what the United States did to a country, because my country needed an enemy 90 miles from us, and instead of sitting there and fixing this country that we treated like shit, this country that we just made a corporate element of slavery or servants for the rich, the white rich Europeans who ruled that land. We could have fixed this, and when I went down there and discovered them, and I found the joy in their music, and I found the joy that they had when they were as poor under American standards, and there was no one in debt. They had no debt. They had love. They took care of each other. They had communities. And I spent time. And I dissected the meaning of all the songs that they had. There were times when I felt overwhelmed my whole life. You know, without me going too far into it, what you said is absolutely the truth. You can't prove these in a physical lab. You're not a physical thing. Something physical is dense and dead. You're an energy, and inside your energy are the answers. You know, and the whole challenge lies in translating deeply the experiences you feel, and then when you get ready to it, you look at the cross-cultural observations into languages that resonate. Instead of trying to rigidly define them, I've always focused on their similar effects, how patterns, you know, rhymes, and archetypes emerge across disconnected cultures, guided by something beyond mere coincidence. These are not coincidences, that's truth. Like A-E-I-O-U in Spanish and Portuguese, and A-E-I-O-U. You know, there's no I in Spanish, but there's an I in English. And what does that mean? It means a lot. It means you can't communicate with each other unless you spend the time to figure out what songs I'm singing to you when I speak to you. Voice is a song. It's an instrument. And it works, it penetrates you. And the birds sing, the wind sings, we all sing. And I've done this my whole life, and there's so much more than what they tell you are your 5 traits. There's a 6th. It's called the eternal. There's more than physically seeing, touching, tasting, feeling. There's much more than those 5. It's overwhelmed my whole life. But I constantly return to my focus and those 5 questions. And you know, I've learned how to meditate, and I've learned how to do different yogas. And I learned how to get into my eternal awareness and get out of my physical perpetuation of hate and fear. And it's not just me with hate and fear. It's people. People hate something they're not familiar with, and they fear the uncertainty. And I sit there, and I will talk you to death to find out at what point I can make you smile. Because the minute I see you smile, you become young in energy. You have no frowns. And then I will figure out what we have in common. It's the most important thing to me. And that's how I've lived all over the world, met people all over the world, and I never did what people thought I would do. I was incapable of becoming a corporate proprietor that could own and control the proceeds of physical things that I sold. I became a perpetuator of energy and love. And I'm really blessed that I could do this on a day in, day out basis. And right now we're touring the Buena Vista Orchestra. Right now I'm in a lawsuit with BMG from Germany, a slave-owning company that's telling me they own the name Buena Vista Orchestra and I can't use it. Well, to court we go. I feel like David, and I'm going to take on Goliath of corporate ownership, which everyone I know buys their stocks, because by signing allegiance to these corporate giants, you give up every value you have as you allow them to pollute the air, sell GMOs around the world, and to charge 30% interest when our whole society, and especially you Christians, Jesus was put to death, if you believe it, for questioning sharks that were charging interest when you came to temple to buy favors from God. You cannot charge interest to share the community asset called wealth. If you're going into business together, yes. And what makes me really sick is how the Muslims say they don't charge interest, but they're lying. They use the Catholic Church and the Vatican banking system to hide all their money and charge you outrageous interest rates. And they sit there innocently. I'll give some of them credit. Everyone has health care. We don't have health care in America. We have health insurance. They all go to school and they share the proceeds of their oil wealth. We need to learn some of that in America, and we need to get rid of banks that charge interest, a system that charges interest when we create new currency. That's my truth.
Is there a particular discovery, idea, or section in the book that resonates most strongly with you personally?
There's universal certain rhythms and musical modes that evoke similar primal responses across humanity. We live on an earth, and the earth has a heartbeat. Did you hear me? The earth has a heartbeat. And the heartbeat works by the winds that modify everything we do. Fire is a wind substance. The winds that create the motion of the water. The winds that create the air. The winds that bring the rain and fertilize the earth. Yeah, those winds and the heartbeat of earth that make things grow. And there's noise that works. It's the rhythms of the sounds. It's the rhythms of the beat of the earth. And it's the winds that make you dream and the winds that make you fearful. And you know something? When we get a hurricane, maybe it's the winds telling us things need to change. Maybe when we get an earthquake, maybe it's the energies of earth saying, you push me too far. Am I being scientific, which you don't understand? I'm just giving you plausible thoughts. We need to understand that we are all part of that initial energy, and we, a consciousness, we, the human species called Homo sapien, have the ability to hear our thoughts and to reflect our thoughts and how to make our thoughts physical realities. And we need to understand how to share our thoughts and not own our thoughts, and how to make our thoughts make this place the heaven in this solar system we all thought it would be. Not a playpen where you get to try out for the sky god you believe in, who if you don't, will kill you in 8 days. Or if you don't, will not let you through the pearly gate. Or if you don't, will not let you live in this beautiful ecstasy. No, you're in ecstasy, my friends. You're here physically, and you're here to enjoy it. Enjoy it, my friends.
What's next for you? Are there more books or projects exploring these themes on the horizon?
I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. Right now I'm sitting here in Brazil, and I'm learning all about their religions and their thoughts and their good energies and their bad energies. And sometimes good energies become bad energies for other people. And so you see light and so you see darkness. It's real simple. Light is something that will perpetuate your thought and make you smile, or at least aware of what you're about to see. Beware of darkness, my friends. People who sell you darkness, watch out. George Harrison wrote a great song in 1970 about it. And as I'm saying this to you, I hear it as I'm talking to you. Beware of darkness. Beware of those that sell you false hope. You're all here for a reason. You're all here to share life and help each person. This is a community of one and all.
Now for a few lighter questions as we wrap up. Which authors or thinkers have influenced your perspective, and which ones do you enjoy reading?
You're asking me what philosophers do I resonate with? Well, I love Socrates. I loved him. But where did he get his stuff from? And then they used to have these schools where they had many gurus, and one of them was called Pythagoras, right? Pythagoras means many teachers. There are many teachers, my friends, and those teachers, the word was Pythagoras. They call it one man. That's the Christianity where they make it one God. There's many gods. We're all part of gods, okay? You want a teacher that understands and respects you and your thoughts, doesn't make fun of your thoughts, and teaches you to see the light instead of going to darkness. Beware of darkness. There's always light. And once the light gets in, you're living in light. And if you have the light, let it shine on you, and then you shine it on everybody else. It's that simple. We all attract the light. And, I've had many, many people that I love reading, and there's too many to share. But each and every one of them had one common denominator. They all love life. And then there's a guy named Sitchin. Now, Sitchin, I respect more than anyone because he dedicated his life to put together what those Samaritan tablets were about. And I write about this in my book. And without him, I wouldn't be who or what I am. And if my dad didn't have some visitors from England who worked with the Kinks one day give me a book in 1967, 68, I mixed things up like December and January of school years. But somewhere in that school year, they gave me a book called Chariots of the Gods, and they said, here, you ask questions. Why don't you read this? I was off to the races, see you, and I wanted to know why people did what they did. And I really wanted to know how people that I was familiar with, like Catholics, could worship a God that killed his only son. How could you believe that crap? Or how about a Jewish God that told you, you get in here and pray to me, and for the next 8 days, you must do this, and on the 8th day, you must not eat. And then I will decide whether or not in 51 weeks, you're still going to live for this 52nd. You believe this crap? That crap came right out of Persia. Zoroastrians. The whole thing is crazy, and someone needs to teach the truth about history and how it's rewritten. We're a lost tribe. We're a lost consciousness. And if we lose fear, instead of hating the people that did this to you, just look at it and laugh and hug each other and go, can you believe my grandfamily did this? No, my friends, it's called love. We all want love. We all need love. We all come from love. We are love.
Just for fun, would you rather travel deep into space to explore the unknown or deep beneath the ocean?
You're asking me if I want to go into the deep, in the center of the earth? No. Julius Verne did that. I want to go upstairs. The furnace that lives inside, that gives us the heartbeat, that connects with the sun, would burn you. And then in going through the process of accelerating through different energies, like a video game. I want to go, just like the little prince in that book, went to visit different solar systems and galaxies and discover all the various thoughts that every energy has. I want to see and experience thought. Thought is life, and thought is love.
If you found yourself needing rescue, which fictional character would you trust to help?
I wouldn't help any of them. I'd go become my Peter Pan again. And I feel very blessed that I found Wendy, who I first met in '64, who never would have tolerated me with my freestyle thoughts. But Wendy came back, and today on April 8th, the day my son died 10 years ago, as I posted today, 3,653 days ago. There were 3 leap years between his death and now. Anyway, he brought us together as Debbie lost her son too, a few years before. And I'm really convinced those two met in some energy form somewhere. And they said, let's get these 2 characters together. And here we are. And today we're discovering Brazil, and we're in Natal, a city named by the white Christians because they thought the natives who lived here didn't know anything. And the white Christians saw this point of Brazil on what they said was December 25th. And they named this Natal. Anyway, study the history, where these words came from. Why are they there? It's all wanting to control people. When you want to share, you lose the identity of exclusiveness. We're a community of thought, and we can all help each other. And I just share it with everyone. I love reading and discovering all people's new thoughts and new ideas. I love studying your myths. I love studying your legends. I love meeting new Orishas, new Jiminy Crickets, you just name them. Any fairy, any leprechaun, any Tinkerbell. I'm game, let's go. I want to meet them. All the kami energy that we study about in Japan, where they worship their elders. And you want me to tell you something wrong with America? We have no worship for our elders. You need to tell you one little secret? For whatever reason, I came and I would sit and I would talk nonstop with anyone that was living life to discover what they loved about life and what made them fearful. I love life, and everyone I've ever met, everyone that I ever shared a breath with, I thank you. Whatever I am, you helped make me this man. And I ain't done yet. And Debbie and I are going to keep going around, so thank you.
Thank you for listening. This is John Boyd with Music Channel Television.